Good morning and welcome to day 3 on the Appalachian Trail. Riley and I got started hiking a little while ago, less than an hour ago I would say, and we just crossed this water source and I'm a little low on water here, just have that much left, so I'm gonna take the opportunity to fill up my bottles. Got a very nice flow here. So I'm going to turn this off because it'll be a lot easier to do that while I fill up the water. All right, we are back. Got the water filled up and we are continuing on. It's a cool day so far here. And we had a pretty good night last night in the tent. Got a much better sleep. So the first 2 nights did not get a good night's sleep in the shelters. Various factors. Number one, my sleeping pad. I brought like a super light sleeping pad. It's a very thin foam, and I don't think it's sufficient to provide the comfort that I need for sleeping on the hardwood floors. It's certainly better than nothing, but I think it would be better to have the eggshell foam pad instead. So I think I'll look to switch those out later on in the hike when I have a good chance to do so. I guess the second reason is that, not the first night, but the second night in Hawk Mountain shelter, so that night it was packed because there was a rainstorm in the late afternoon and early evening, and so lots of people wanted to stay in the shelter, and that's not a problem, but several people were snoring very loudly, and that's a little problem. But I guess the bigger problem is just that, like, in the first few days of the hike, your body is usually acclimating to sleeping in the new environment. And so even if nobody was snoring, I think it would have been hard to get a good night's sleep just because my body isn't used to it yet. And so that combined with the snoring made it a little bit harder and just didn't lead to a very comfortable sleep. And then, yeah, so I'm gonna pick this up. I see some other hikers here and I don't wanna startle them with my camera, so I'll check back in later. Okay, we're back here. The hikers were coming in the direction toward us and they got by us. So now we have a free path in front of us. And just continuing where I left off, I guess the third reason why I wasn't getting a good sleep is just concern over Riley and concern over making sure that I had good control over him. I think I mentioned this in other videos, but like the first night, Riley, where are we going? Riley, no, you're going backwards. We can't go backwards. I think he wants to chase after the hikers that just passed us. Anyway, so yeah, the first night Riley was hearing lots of noises and he just kept getting up in the middle of the night, and whenever he did that, I got up as well to make sure I had good control over him beyond just holding onto the leash, because he was ready to pounce out of there whenever he had the chance to do so. And then 2 nights ago in Hawk Mountain shelter, it was much better because he basically slept through the whole night, but I still had, the concern. I wrapped the leash around my waist, and so that gave me more confidence that I had good control over him, but it also restricted my movement during the night and didn't lead to the most comfortable sleep. So those 3 factors, I guess, were kind of preventing me from getting a good night's sleep. I think Riley sees somebody coming. Do you see somebody coming, Riley? What do you see? I don't see anybody. Anyway, so last night was so much better. So first of all, it was because we were in the tent and we had the four sides around us, that helped to trap a lot more warmth. So yeah, so it was just warmer inside. And Riley, when I first set up the tent and we started to go in, Riley just was like, I didn't have any trouble getting him to go in. I just kind of led him to the front of the tent and opened the zipper, and he just walked right in. And he settled down very quickly and curled up and basically slept through the night. He did hear a few noises in the middle of the night that caused him to stand up and bark a little bit, but they didn't last very long, and he was able to settle back down and go to sleep. And I didn't even feel the need to like hold on to the leash, because we were fully enclosed in the tent, and he wasn't showing any signs that he was going to try to run through the tent walls or anything. So that was probably the biggest thing, is that my mind was much more at ease that I wasn't gonna lose Riley if I went to sleep and wake up to find no dog inside my tent. But yeah, beyond that, I was able to get just multiple hours of continuous, very sound sleep. So I feel very well rested this morning, and overall I'm very pleased with the tent that we got. It actually did rain overnight, not very heavily, but it did rain, and the tent did a good job of keeping the water out. And Riley, I'm gonna see if we can get Riley to move along. All right, I'll check back in a little bit. All right, so we're back moving now. Just took a little coaxing and Riley's moving again. Yeah, the other thing I noticed with the tent is that there was condensation that formed on the front and back walls near the head and the foot, which is not a surprise because the tent that I have, it's the Outdoor Vitals 40S one-person tent. It is a single wall tent, and so that's something to be expected with single wall tents. And I think plus because I have myself and Riley inside the tent, we're both, the two of us are generating more water vapor with our body heat and our exhales of carbon dioxide. So yeah, I think we're generating more heat, and which is leading to more water vapor that's getting caught as condensation on the tent walls. So that's just it. But this is my first experience with a single wall tent, and the condensation doesn't seem to be a big concern for me. The only issue is that, like, if you sit up in the middle of the night and brush your head or your arms against the low part of either the head or the foot end, you're gonna get a little damp, but it's not like water's just leaking through the tent onto the tent floor. It's just a little dampness, so I don't see it as a big problem, and it's just something to be expected with the type of tent that I got. So it's not like the tent is performing poorly or anything. So we are approaching Woody Gap now. We camped at mile 18.9 on Ramrock Mountain, and Woody Gap is somewhere around mile 20 and a half, and we've already been walking for close to an hour. So I can already hear cars in the distance, and we passed 3 hikers, 1 runner and 2 hikers coming in the opposite direction toward us. So I'm assuming that they probably parked at Woody Gap and are going for a day hike or something. Today is Sunday, by the way. Sunday, I'm guessing May the 5th. And yeah, so Woody Gap is a popular just access point for people to get on the Appalachian Trail. And they have a parking area, and they have some a restroom for people to use, and they have trash cans. I remember on my previous hike, my very first hike, the AT. Okay, Riley is using the bathroom here. So I'm gonna let him do that in privacy, and we'll check back in later. So I think we're actually closer to Woody Gap than I thought. I think it's just right up here. There's a signpost up there, and then I can see some, I think I can see the parking lot up there. Yeah, so I was just saying that on my first hike, when I got to this point, it felt like it was like the first point on the trail where I could see civilization again, because I mean, like earlier on in the trail we have passed some roads, but they were mostly Forest Service roads, dirt roads or gravel roads, and there were some parking areas, but they were always very small parking areas. And this is a much bigger parking area, and plus it has trash cans and a restroom area. So it felt like it was like the first time that we, you know, after a grueling stretch of 20 miles to start out the hike, we were suddenly returned to see that civilization is around us, and it just felt like a pleasant reminder that if we need help, it's not that far away. And the cool thing is that there's trash cans here. So I don't have a lot of trash, but it is nice to be able to have a spot to dispose of the trash and lighten our packs a little bit. Yeah, so this is the parking lot. Lots of cars here already. And it goes on both sides of the road. So this is one side. We're near the town of Suches, Georgia. So there's the trash cans, and we got a little map here. So this shows what we've done so far. So the right here is where the Amicalola Falls Visitor Center is, where we started the hike. Blue is the approach trail. This is 8.8 miles. And yeah, so we are right here right now at Woody Gap. So we've done all of this. This is about 20 miles. I think 20 and a half miles. So that's very cool. And wow, over on the other side, I see a big group of hikers coming in southbound. All right, so we were going to dispose of our trash and continue on, and we will check in a little bit later. So I'm still at the trash cans here, and before I dispose of this, I just wanted to show it quickly. So this was what I brought for Riley's food bowl. Just like a little standard takeout container, really lightweight, and I figured it would work perfect. And I was keeping it on the back, you know, in this mesh part on the back side of my pack, so I could just get to it very easily. And I have my bear canister stored right at the top of my pack, which is kind of like a cannonball. And one time when I was stopping to take a break, I set my pack down like this, and then my pack just kind of, you know, fell down like that, and it just crushed the plastic here. So it got cracks in it, and so it no longer really became usable as a food container. So since then, that's why I've been using the lid, because that's still whole, fortunately. Yeah, so now I'm gonna finally be able to dispose of this. Initially, when I came up here, I was thinking you needed to open the trash can by moving this upward. And then I mean, I've done this before, I just forgot that there's just a latch in here that you need to push upward to open it. Okay, I'll turn this off here. Anyway. And that's just to keep it secure from bears so they can't rummage through the garbage. So I'm going to replace, like I said last night, I'm going to replace Riley's bowl, hopefully when I get to Mountain Crossings Outfitters at Neel Gap. Okay, so our trash is gone, and I think we're ready to continue on, Riley. We will check back in a bit. All right, so we are continuing our hike here. We took an extended break there back at Woody Gap, just to get our meals ready. I gave Riley a little more dehydrated or freeze-dried food, and I filled my cold soak peanut butter jar with some oatmeal and added some water to it so that that will soak up during the day, and I can stop in a little bit and eat from it. And now as we continue on, I see some cool signs here. So this says we are entering the Blood Mountain Wilderness in the Chattahoochee National Forest. So in about 9 miles, I believe we'll actually be summiting Blood Mountain, and that'll be just before we get into Neel Gap. Come on, Riley. It's nice they have this nice wide, easy trail exiting Woody Gap. And then here's just the signs for what comes ahead. So we're at Woody Gap, Gerard Gap in 5.6 miles, Neel's Gap, 10.8 miles, Blood Mountain, 9 miles. Okay. Very good. You ready, Riley? You ready? Riley sees all the cars and he hears all the sounds back there, so he's reluctant to go. So we will check back in a bit.
Try to, so your hair is all fucked up. And then,
do you mind if you guys get caught in my video?
No.
I'm just gonna, so this is Preacher's Rock here. We just took a little break down there in the shade. So the hike is going well today. Riley and I had a slow start to the morning, but then after Woody Gap, we met up with a couple other thru hikers, and one of them is ahead of us right now, another one is behind us, and so that has really motivated Riley to pick up his pace, and he's just been kind of flying. We did take a couple breaks in between, and I gave him some of his freeze-dried dog food. Simply Raw brand. I'm sorry, yeah, I don't think I mentioned the brand before. It's called Simply Raw. And the ingredients list seems pretty good. It's got lots of seemingly quality whole food ingredients. So we passed Lance Creek a while back, and yeah, I'm not sure exactly what mile we're at now, but at the beginning of the day, I thought making Neel Gap by the end of the day would be a little too far for us, but it might be possible still. So we'll just, it all really just depends on how Riley's feeling and how far he wants to hike. So that's what we're gonna do. The sun is kind of behind the clouds now, so it's nice and cool. There's a cool rock up there. And I have put my orange shirt back on. This orange shirt got kind of wet in the rain a couple days ago, and it hasn't really dried out. So at the last break, I switched out my gray shirt for my orange shirt, and this feels good now. It's kind of cool, keeping me cool, and it should help it to dry out by the end of the day. So everything's going fine, going well, and I'll plan to check in a little bit.
Yeah.
Started raining about a half hour ago. And we made it to the shelter, so Blood Mountain shelter. So the rain has finally cleared up, and that's the back of Blood Mountain shelter. And it's about 4 o'clock now, and we are going to try to make it down to Neel Gap. It's about 2.5 miles downhill. So come on, Riley, let's go. So this is Blood Mountain here. I don't think it's just this. I think there's many kind of like outcroppings and peaks on top of here. I was considering staying in the shelter, especially if the rain had continued. But since the rain stopped and it's still early in the day, yeah, I was actually getting kind of chilly in the shelter because I was still wet, and the sun is out now, so I figured it would be a good way to get warm, just to start hiking again and let the sun dry us out. So we're going to continue on. Riley kind of just wants to look back because he remembers seeing people back there, and there's nobody in front that he is aware of. So that's okay. We'll figure this out. Okay, so we've just advanced like 20 feet, and I think this is more like the full Blood Mountain experience. So it's just a big open rock face with views all around. Very nice. Lots of mountains out there. Very nice that the rain stopped. I already feel myself getting warmer. So Riley and I have hiked, I think, a little over 10 miles today so far. And we were hiking with a guy named Twofer for a while. Seems like a really cool guy. He's hiked the PCT and the CDT the last 2 years, and now he's hiking the AT to finish off the Triple Crown. And he was kind of hiking behind us because whenever he tried to hike in front of us, Riley would try to charge ahead and get in front. But as long as he hiked behind, Riley was still able to go forward. All right, Riley, let's go. We got to go down to Neel Gap. All right, we'll check back in when we get down there. And here is yet another open rock face with very nice views. They just continue one after another here on Blood Mountain. Hello, Riley. And then the trail continues that way. There's a white blaze that goes and then down that opening there. All right, let's go, Riley. So we're making our way down Blood Mountain now. We just came from that direction, and this is kind of a cool mini rock scramble. Then just up these rocks here, there's this big giant boulder here. And now we're going to be continuing over there. So I'm taking this video just standing still, because if I was trying to do it while I'm hiking, I feel like that would be kind of dangerous. I might lose my balance pretty easily. So that's one of the things about like trying to film a hike, is that it seems like I'm not really capturing the more difficult sections, because in those sections I want to be, have all my focus on hiking, and holding a camera in my hand can make it more dangerous to get through those sections. So, but yeah, so this is one section that I wouldn't have filmed if I was hiking through it, but since there's just this nice ledge here that I can stand on and I'm secure, so So yeah, so that's why I'm filming now. Come on, Riley, let's get down. Riley, what's up, buddy? So we are arriving at Neel's Gap here, descending from Blood Mountain. Just a few footsteps away. So it's a little past 5 now, I think. So the outfitter store, Mountain Crossings, that's located here, is already closed. But the trail goes right through an archway right through the structure of Mountain Crossings. And I'm gonna plan to hang out here for a bit and recharge some stuff and do some stuff with videos, and then try to find a campsite close by that we can spend the night at. So we'll check in later. So it was definitely a good decision to come into Neel's Gap. I'm with a couple other hikers, and they told us that we could actually set up our tents right behind, basically right behind the Mountain Crossings Outfitters that's located here. And it's, so Mountain Crossings is right there. Riley, this way, come on. Come on, Riley. Come on. And the AT continues here. Yeah, so Neel's Gap is right here. Here's the sign for the next section of the wilderness areas, Raven Cliffs Wilderness. And right up here is a nice tenting area. So we're able to spend the night for free, and we can just kind of hang out the rest of the night up at the outfitter store. They're closed, but they have a water spigot, and they have Wi-Fi there, and they have a charging outlet, and they have picnic tables. So very nice. And this is my tent that I've set up here, and those are the other 2 tents. Yeah, so definitely glad that I came here.